Thank you. So this part of the presentation is a demonstration of the virtual learning environment. I'm going to share my screen in a moment, but the purpose of the demonstration really is to show you what it's like to study one of our programs as a student. So I'll log into the platform as a demo student and show you what that experience looks like. So first of all, I'll just share my screen. Can you see that okay, Sammy?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, great, thank you. So yeah, I'm logged into the VLE as a demo student. The first thing to note is that the virtual learning environment is the one place that students can access pretty much all they need to complete their program. So it's not just where they access their course materials, their assessments, feedback and grades, but it's also where students can access the variety of support services that wrap around their whole program. So for example, I can contact the Student Services Department. I could access some additional study skills materials. I could access the library. Everything is through one platform. And we try and make that platform as easy to use as possible. So we spend a lot of time designing this to make sure that students are only ever a couple of clicks away from the resources they need, but also that they can access on a wide variety of devices. So I can, access on my PC here, or my phone or tablet, and various different devices and so on. So as I work through the platform, the first thing I'll do is just talk a little bit about how students can access any of those additional support channels they might need. So across the top here, I can see I can access a wide range of student services. So I might need to contact student support or student welfare, student finance, and so on. And those teams help the students throughout their program. But you can also see in the bottom right-hand corner, I've also got a live chat option. So if I wanted to, I could start chatting to those support teams directly through the learning platform. So perhaps I've got a particular issue on a page that I need some support with. I can start that live chat and get instant support directly through the platform. I can also email and call in using the phone to speak to student support. That's a really nice feature of the platform, that I can get that instant support. We've also got a little support widget on the right-hand side of the page that you'll see on every page as part of this demo. Really, this is an opportunity for students to access a knowledge base of resources. So it could be that they need to brush up on perhaps some of their referencing skills. Maybe they need to know how to upload an assignment. So a really quick way to access that additional support that they might need. Well, for this demo, I'm going to focus on an actual module. So I'm going to go into my modules page at the top here. And each student has a personalized experience. So they only see the modules that are tied to their program of study as they work through their particular program. For this demo, I'm going to go into one of our computer science modules, this global trends module here. So I'm going to click view course and go straight into the module. Now, it doesn't matter that I've chosen a computer science module. The same principles and the same design applies across all our portfolio. And those principles are really that we try and make this a really nice, seamless, simple user interface and an excellent user experience. So we start here on the home page. We've got some introductory text, some learning outcomes for the module. So this sort of sets the scene for what students are expected to complete over the next 8 weeks. On the left-hand side, I've got the navigation. So I'll work through some of these pages to go through some of the key sections. The first one is the lecturer office. So every module is supported by an academic lead, who's the lecturer. They will be a subject matter expert in that particular module. And on this page, the students will see their contact details, a bit of a biography, and different ways in which the students can contact that tutor. Now, the class sizes are capped at 20. So actually the tutor, lecturer and students do develop a really good relationship over the duration of the module, because we don't have huge numbers of students allocated to one tutor. We keep that experience so that the tutors can support students effectively with those small class sizes. In the additional resources section, I've got any wraparound material that might support the module. So in this example, it's a technical module, so there's a glossary, there's a playlist and a reading list, but it depends what the module is about for those additional resources. It might be that students need some additional software to complete the module. So really anything that the student needs to complete the module, we pop in additional resources. On the deadline details page, we can see an overview of the schedule for the assessment for this particular module. This is a really important page because students need to keep on top of these deadlines. So in this module, we've got 4 points of assessment. There are 2 discussion forums. There's a presentation in the middle of the module, and then there's an essay at the end. And on this table, I can see how each of these assessments is weighted and when the deadlines are. Now, we use a variety of different assessment methods on the platform. So it could be something collaborative, like a group work project, or perhaps a discussion forum, a presentation, and so on. Or it could be something like perhaps a report, or maybe generating some kind of artifacts. It could be a piece of coding, for example, on the computer science program. The point really is that we make that assessment authentic and relevant to the students' professional lives, as well as it being academically sound. It's hopefully a format that the students can apply to their everyday working life, and not just a series of exams and essays. The assessment points are engaging and useful for the student experience. But this page just gives me an overview of the structure of the module. This particular module is also supported by a series of live seminars. So you can see here, these are spread throughout the 8 weeks. They're completely optional. In this particular program, there is no requirement to attend, but they do add a synchronous element to the delivery. So it's a great opportunity for students, not just to meet the lecturer in an online Zoom room, but also to engage with their classmates and their peers. So each seminar in this module has a particular topic. So students would read the brief for the seminar and then join a live Zoom room to participate in that session. Now, if a student can't attend, we also record all those sessions and post those recordings out to students as a module announcement, which goes out as an email as well. So students can always catch up if they couldn't attend on the actual time. And then finally, we're coming to some content. So I'm in week 1, and we break up a module into different weeks down the left-hand side. You can see here, each week has its own section. And each week normally has a specific topic. So this is an introduction to the trends in computer science. So you can see here some introductory text, the learning outcomes for the week. But then as I scroll down the page, I start to see some activities and some resources to work through as a student. The first activity is a lecturecast. So I'll click into the lecturecast and show you what that looks like. And the lecturecast really is our version of a traditional lecture. But instead of giving students an hour-long lecture or PowerPoint presentation, what we've done is we've broken up that content into a variety of different formats, and it ends up looking something like this. So if I click Start Lecturecast, you'll see the first piece of content here is a piece of video. So I'm going to click on the play button, and there is a voiceover going over the back there that I don't think you'll hear on this presentation, but essentially is a narration going over the video, explaining the key concepts. Depending on what the content is about, we'll use a variety of different visuals. So it could be that we use graphics on the screen, or we animate processes, or perhaps sometimes just some simple text on the screen as well. This particular video, I think, is showing the history of computing hardware. So we kind of go through this timeline animation as the narration plays out. But the main thing really is that we keep these videos quite short. We know that students won't sit and watch a big, long, hour-long video, so we break up the content into smaller, bite-sized chunks. And if I just pause that video there and move on to the next step, you can see now we've got a different format of content. So here we've got a timeline that isn't a video, it's a slightly different format for the students to engage with. And at the end of this section, I've got a quick check your knowledge activity. This is in the format of a quiz. This doesn't hold any weight in the grade book. It's just an opportunity for students to engage with that content. So it's an active experience rather than a passive experience of just watching a piece of video. Also, as a student, I could now pause and come back to this perhaps the next day, or perhaps from a different device at my convenience. So it will save where I'm up to, and I don't have to sit and watch the whole lecture in its entirety in one session. It will remember where I'm up to, and I can pick this back up as I pick up the module again. So this is a lecture cast. Typically is one of these every week or every other week to introduce the key concepts for that particular week. And if I go back to Unit 1, we've got some other activities. So the first one here is students are invited to engage in a poll. So here students vote on a particular topic, and the next activity I think is then a discussion forum about the results of that topic. So again, a wide variety of different activity types. It really depends on what the content is about for how we deliver that to students. And as I work through, I can mark off these activities as complete to keep track of where I'm up to. I can also access a reading list each week, and I think I heard a colleague talk about the online library just a moment ago. So each module has a reading list, but we go a bit further than that, and each week of study also has a curated reading list. So here in week 1, I'm given some direction on why this reading is important, and then I've got a specific reading list that aligns to the topics covered in week 1. And this is where I then link to the University of Liverpool online library, where I can access all these resources. So students, they don't have to go and buy textbooks, they don't have to buy any resources. We provide all that for students, either through the platform or directly through the online library. And as a colleague said earlier, that library is fantastic. The support the students get there is exceptional. So really vast variety of resources, but also really good support in accessing those resources as well. And if I go back to the module, the pattern repeats really. So each week has a different topic. So if I go to week 2, we've got a different topic here, some different introductory text. This week's got a seminar, so I'll be asked to read the seminar brief before participating. I've then got some different reading, perhaps continue the discussion forum, and then a prompt here just to remind me that I've got a mid-module assignment due in week 4. And if I just quickly skip to the end into week 8, finally at the end of every module, we also ask students for their feedback through an end of module survey. And we use that feedback to help inform module and program developments with the technology. So we've used that form to change how we deliver content to students, but we use that feedback loop to listen to our students' feedback and then apply that back to the student experience. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what it's like to study one of our modules. Yeah, that's it for the demonstration. I don't know if anyone has any questions at this point. Happy to take any if we've got time for it.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, as Stephen just mentioned, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat box. We've got a few minutes, so we might be able to answer a couple.
Stephen, thank you very much for that. I was just going to mention that I think we've got some of those lecture casts available as a taster. Am I right? For the University of Essex online, we've got some of those that people can access freely.
Yeah, that's right. So on the website, students can request access to taster lecture casts, and that gives them a sense of what it's like to work through some of our content. So those engaging lectures with video, little activities, just to give them a sense of what it's like to study some of our materials. Yeah, and students can access those through the marketing site for Essex.
Yeah, I think it's great that you've given that demo, because I think a lot of the nervousness for a lot of people is about what does it look like on a day-to-day basis. How do I use it? And I hope some of the agents and counsellors that are with us and joining us today can see that, and they can kind of relay that to some of the prospective students. I think we'll pop that link actually in the chat so that people can access those taster courses with the University of Essex online that we've developed, and that might be helpful for people.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that what makes our platform different, I think, from perhaps other online learning environments is this is designed and built specifically and only for online delivery. So everything we've built here is built with online students in mind. We've not tried to adapt anything that's being delivered on campus. It's all built from the beginning with an online student in mind, and that's why we try and make it as easy to use as possible. Technology is really no barrier. Technology should facilitate students' access to resources, and that you do see some providers who try and take a campus thing and put it online. That just is very difficult to do. So that's perhaps where we're a little bit different but for the benefit of the student experience.
Yeah, great. And I know you and your team are investing a lot of time and effort into keeping up to date with some of these new technologies. And I know you're very busy and kind of peering into the future in terms of how things like AI are being built into that whole student virtual experience, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have time to show it in this demo, but I'd like to, Peter. But we are embedding AI into our learning environment. So a really good example is our Study Skills Hub, which is a vast variety of resources that students have access to build their academic writing skills, some of those study skills that they might not have used for some time or perhaps need a bit of support with. There's a vast variety of content there. But what we've done is we've put a chat bot around that content to actually guide students through that material. So instead of students having to trawl lots of content, the students can engage with the AI, and it will suggest the right resources and support for that particular student. So really personalized experience in the Study Skills Hub, and that's just the beginning, really. We're trying to personalize that experience and use AI to augment the student experience.
That's great. Yeah, really exciting.
Great. Well, yeah, I think we can move on to the next session. And thank you very much, Stephen, for taking us through that demonstration. Like I said, if you've got any other questions, feel free to get in touch with us later on.